So the reigning champion and joint championship leader Derek Johnson now into the pits. He clambers out of the car. The car was in second place prior to coming into the pits. I suspect that some of the other cars will stay out longer during this pit window and therefore propel themselves up the order somewhat. Ben Jackson, however, in the meantime is cracking on. There's problems for Colin Noble's car. It looks as though the rear suspension may well have failed on that car. The wheel not sitting at the best of angles relative to the circuit. And they'll take the rear bodywork off, have a look. But I think that's probably significant enough of a failure so that Colin Noble will take no further part in the race. Ben Jackson, in the meantime, showing a clean pair of heels to all of those behind as he heads round through Bobby's into the latter stages of the lap. Here's Rob Weldon. He continues to press on as quickly as he possibly can, trying to regain places, having taken over that car from Roger Bromley a lap or so ago. As out of the pits now comes the number one car that was vacated by Derek Johnson, now has Le Mans racer Stuart Mosley at the wheel, the quicker of the two drivers. And certainly you can expect Stuart to get up on the pace very quickly indeed. And number 19 continuing around the circuit, that's the car of Tom Ashton. They'll be sitting towards the bottom of the top 8 currently, as Ben Jackson still continues round, still has yet to pit is Ben Jackson. So the man from Bingley in the Works Run Radical still leads the race at the moment. Through Tower Corner, he makes his way down towards the braking area once more for Bobby's. And certainly he will be watching the gap relative to himself and some of the quicker drivers that are out there now. The likes of Stuart Mosley, the likes of Rob Weldon. There is the number 18 car that is at the moment in the hands of Henry Morgan. And the race leader is in, so Ben Jackson now in the pits. The car fires itself back into life. Thumbs up given by the Radical Works mechanics, and back out onto the circuit goes Ben Jackson. Stuart Mosley it is that's now pressing on, trying to get as close as possible up to the sharp end of the point. And that's a spin by the look of things. It's one of the Jacksons. It looks like it's the PR6 of Father Michael Jackson that has disappeared off the circuit and joins the agriculture here at Castle Combe. Here is his son, Michael Jackson, still in the lead of the race at the moment, following the pit stop. Very quick stop that indeed, as only now do we see some of the latter pit stops taking place. This is Tony Freeman taking over the car from Duncan Williams, two of those having had a fairly solid season so far. So Michael Jackson climbs out of the car and will therefore take no further part in the race. Stuart Mosley still trying to close that deficit all of the time as he makes his way round through Camp Corner, the race leader. Keeping certainly an eye on the gaps relative to those around him. Into the pits comes one of the last cars to stop. John Hewitt hands over the car to Radical co-founder Phil Abbott, who is now getting himself safely in the car. Some adjustment to tyre pressures being done, and very shortly out onto the circuit once more they will make their way. Well, there goes the race leader Ben Jackson. The car that's in second place at the moment is number 18 Henry Morgan, still is yet to pit to hand the car over to Charles Loughran. So you can see they're not that far behind the race leader, but they've still got their mandatory pit stop to make. And right on board with Henry Morgan at the wheel of that car in second place. He makes his way round through Bobby's corner, and that looks as though not only round through Bobby's corner, into the lead of the race he will go, because that is Ben Jackson who's pulling the SR8 off into retirement on the run up towards Camp Corner. So therefore number 18 Henry Morgan leads the race but comes into the pits. He's got his mandatory pit stop to make. He's got the car to hand over to Charles Loughran. Into the pits now comes erstwhile race leader Henry Morgan. Dives out of the car. This will certainly play into the hands of Stuart Mosley as well, who's making very good progress in the number 1 car. There's Rob Weldon as well. He is going very quickly at the wheel of the number 14 machine, having taken that car over from Roger Bromley. You can see Charles Loughran getting strapped into the number 18 car, albeit there may be a problem with it. The rear of the car, it looks as though the expansion tank is sheared at the very top. They fire the car into life and a whole host of steam and smoke emanate from that area. So clearly the Mansell Motorsport boys are going to have to work very hard on that car. There's problems also. We could see Stuart Mosley coming into the pits there as he's trying to make his way up through the order. An unscheduled pit stop for Stuart Mosley, and that is certainly not going to do their championship hopes any good at all. He's still leading the race, Stuart Mosley. There is number 19, which is Tom Ashton. Here's Rob Weldon trying to pull a move on Tony Freeman. There's the briefest of contact between the two of them. Let's hope that hasn't caused a problem for either car. Here is that car of Stuart Mosley. That unexpected pit stop by the look of things, just a result of some rear body work that's come a little bit loose, and therefore Stuart doing the sensible thing, bringing the car into the pits. He'll head back out onto the circuit and may well not quite have lost a place as a result of that. He heads out onto the circuit, loses a place on Rob Weldon, who's all over the grass on the run-up Avon Rice, still trying to thread his way through and past Tony Freeman. And from having gained a place, now Rob Weldon would appear to be slowing a little bit. Stuart Mosley goes through. Rob didn't particularly look to try and defend that position. And as they head round through Folly Corner, work still going on in the pits as the Mansell Motorsport crew now have the part that they need to fit to Charles Loughran's car. Fingers crossed, back out onto the circuit he will very shortly head. And the other news from the pits is that number 14, Rob Weldon, has problems with the paddle shift on that car. It's not going up through the gears as it should, so he's losing time, hand over fist all of the time. Through goes the car in the hands of Tom Ashton. And you can see exactly just how slow now Rob Weldon is relative to those that are still on full race pace. Well, Rob Weldon very much slowing towards the finish line. They're on the final lap, and it looks as though Rob Weldon absolutely crawling up towards Camp Corner. Stuart Mosley goes through the race leader and heads towards the checkered flag for what will be yet another victory for the pairing of Derek Johnston and Stuart Mosley. And is Rob Weldon actually going to get to the start-finish line? Well, it's a moot point at the moment. We wait the car to come through in second place. There is Rob Weldon, who, by a matter of feet, isn't quite going to make it to the start-finish line. Just on the approach to Camp Corner is where the car has finally come to a halt. He's limped that car round, tried to get it home, and a rather upset Rob Weldon walks away somewhat disconsolately from the Radical SR8, and therefore second place will go to Tom Ashton. He just accelerates towards the start-finish line now. The best result for them so far this season. But Johnson and Mosley take the win. Ashton and Kane are in second place. Third place goes to Duncan Williams and Tony Freeman, with Manhalalos, Bromley Weldon, Abbott and Hewitt completing the top six. So as the champagne flies, let's talk to the winning drivers.
We've made some good starts this year and wanted to keep that going, really. And if you can get a good break at the front, you can carry that through to the half distance, which was the plan, really. But, you know, then when Terence went off and dropped a bit of oil, I slid on that one, watching me mirrors and not paying attention where I was going, and that's when Ben got me. And then I tired a little, I guess, and let him go, really. Then Stuart took over and did the business.
So, Stuart, towards the end there, you were just, I suppose, easing the car and bringing it home. It's very much a race of attrition, and later on in your stint, you weren't particularly under pressure for the lead.
No, I think the biggest difficulty with our race was, or for me anyway, was having to come into the pits for an unscheduled stop to get the bodywork fixed, which obviously dropped us out of the lead. Luckily, we were able to get that back fairly swiftly. But this race is particularly important because it's double points, so getting to the finish is more essential than any other races, that's for sure.
So from being in the joint lead of the championship, Derek Johnson now opens up a 20-point gap in the Masters class. Colin Noble's advantage, however, in Supersports is cut.